Okay, next on our list is also another well-known one called the slippery slope fallacy. Slippery slope fallacy. I'll just write slippery slope. Here's its definition. Assuming that one action will lead to worse things without giving reasons to think it will. Okay, so assuming that one action will lead to worse things without giving reasons to think it will. So this is kind of like when you get someone who worries a lot and they're like, well, if this thing happens and that thing will happen and that one thing will happen. Okay, that's a slippery slope fallacy. The example they give in the book on page 268, someone says, the decriminalization of cannabis, marijuana, weed, would be just the start. It would lead to a downward spiral into a widespread abuse of harder drugs like heroin and cocaine. Now, this person's kind of reasoning, well, if we legalize marijuana, then this is going to happen. We're going to have all this drug abuse and heroin abuse and cocaine abuse, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What makes this an example of slippery slope is they're merely assuming that the one action, decriminalizing marijuana, will lead to worse things without having given a reason to think it will. So it's not a slippery slope fallacy if the person justifies how one action will lead to a worse thing, which will lead to a worse thing. Then it's not a fallacy anymore. Then it's just a good argument, right? It's a slippery slope fallacy when they don't give a reason. Primarily, slippery slope fallacies are motivated by fear. Okay, so people are just worried. People are fearful, and so then they think of the worst. They get anxious, and they think, "Well, this will lead to that, blah blah blah." And so this is actually one of the things that drive people's anxiety. It's kind of catastrophizing. When each step should be challenged, like as like logical, rational thinkers. I know it's not easy, by the way, especially if one has anxiety. But in terms of the pure argument forms, that's how a slippery slope works. Why is it called slippery slope? I mean, think of a slope like an incline, and then you slip at the top, and it's whoa, it's kind of icy, and then you whoa, and like once you slip, it's hard to stop from falling down this little hill or mountain. That's why it's called slippery slope. And the thought is that we think that if we just legalize marijuana, whoa, and then we're going to go all the way downhill. That's how slippery slope works. So especially on the watch out for this for people who might be motivated by fear. And the way to challenge it is to just challenge each step of the inference. Why think that this X will lead to Y? Why think that Y will lead to Z? And then ask for justifications for each of those steps. Okay, so that's slippery slope. And that's our fallacies.